We are actually very excited to be working in the Czech Republic. It's been a long haul. We've been working on the proposition for coming up to 3 years. And as James said, we started to achieve success in protecting travel funds in the corporate environment. And essentially what we do, if I may just talk about travel for the moment, is very straightforward. The consumer pays for their holiday. Those funds are placed into a trust account, and generally we will hold them until the consumer has come back from their holiday. The genesis of this arrangement started in the UK under the European Union directives in terms of protecting consumer funds. And in the UK, funds can be protected in one of two ways. Either they are protected by way of an insurance bond, which, by the way, could be a cash bond as well, or those funds are placed into the trust account. And since COVID, which I can't believe happened 4 years ago in March 2020, it was found that trust accounts were far better vehicles for protecting consumer funds. By way of an example, we were able to support a major European airline and assisted them in refunding something in the order of 200 million euros of funds, each one of which were identified and returned to the individual consumers. Now, our expertise, as you can see from the slides, are these trust and escrow services, which we have now expanded into the non-travel sector as well. And as James said, these trust accounts have a beneficiary. The beneficiary in the UK is the Civil Aviation Authority, as an example, for flight packages. We have recently done a tie-up with a major franchising body in the UK, where these are now held for the franchising body. They in turn provide guarantees to the Civil Aviation Authority. So from PTT's point of view, as long as the purpose of the funds is clearly identified and defined, and the beneficiary is known, we will then adopt these instructions in terms of how these funds are to be managed. How do we work? We have a fantastic team of colleagues who are based in the UK. We are now gradually building a team in the Czech Republic. We have a team in Mauritius, a team in India, and we are looking at a couple of other European locations. Makes a great deal of sense to recruit colleagues for an individual country. It would have been very difficult to apply the English-trained team in the Czech Republic. We needed colleagues in the Czech Republic who spoke Czech, who were Czech, who understood the market better than we did, but they were trained up to operate under the rules we have designed. And the team is backed up by a bespoke system, which we call Imperium L, where we manage the funds of all of our clients at a granular level. And by that I mean, we have an individual system for every single client. Our system records all of the funds that have been collected and identified by the consumer who's traveling. And just to move across to the value, you can see a slide that says that we have processed nearly £3 billion of funds. In fact, I was having a conversation with James earlier today. This looks more like 5 billion this year. And each of those monies are broken down to the individual clients for whom we have separate trust accounts, separate trust deeds, separate arrangements. We do not mix funds, we do not mix clients, we do not mix systems, which makes it a really useful way of ensuring the protection of data and the management of data without it being compromised by any other information coming into that data. Our system Imperium L is home built. I have been involved in the trustee space since 2001. And my team, many of my team in the UK are coming up to 10 years. And we actually don't have anybody other than on the Czech side, where they're coming up to 1 year. We don't have anyone who's not worked for us at least 3 years. So a decent system built through experience and being continually developed through experience, backed up by a team that is well trained in terms of looking at the trust accounts, the exposure that may arise, the risks, and just generally having an understanding of each of our clients that we deal with. And we are very, very keen on training and empowering our people to be able to support clients. We do understand there's a degree of skepticism about trust accounts, and we can only overcome that by being very efficient, very effective, and very supportive. We, in fact, will provide data back to our clients because we reconcile every single trust account every day. Our system reconciles all of the funds every day. Once a week, we then carry out a further reconciliation at a senior level. And once a month, the whole proposition is reconciled client by client. And in the case of our Civil Aviation Authority trusts, we provide something in the order of 1,500 reports a year to the Civil Aviation Authority. All these reports are automated and come straight out of the system. We are active users of open banking in the UK, where our systems will pull banking transaction data straight out of the consumer system. And I think Kasif, if we could move to the next slide, please. In terms of the business verticals that we support, in the travel sector, as I've discussed, that's how we launched. We support tour operators, travel agents. We look after coach businesses. We look after cruising businesses. We also look after airlines. Not all of these trusts are regulated by the Civil Aviation Authority. In some cases, we will provide trust accounts for credit card companies, for merchant acquirers. So a merchant acquirer will not want to release all the funds on day one upon collection to the merchant. Those funds are placed with us and then are released to the merchant based on a set of rules agreed with the credit card acquiring business. The other aspect of our business, which is now growing very rapidly, is providing these solutions for insurance companies. So in the Czech Republic, we very specifically work directly with the insurance company who carry both the risk and provide the licensing for a tour operator to be able to sell package holidays in the Czech Republic. Why do these insurance companies and merchant acquirers want to work with us? It's because we are able to provide them with a granular breakdown of their risk. So every single day, they know what the value of the risk is and whether it fits in with what they had determined will be an acceptable risk profile. And this is a very rough example. The insurance company might turn around and say to us, we want you to hold 40% of all funds that have been collected and banked for a particular undertaking. Our system will actually record 100% of the value of the funds that have been banked, but we will then work out what the 40% is or what the 30% is. Whatever the requirement is, our system is, and that's what we mean by bespoke. We will code it up to work with the requirements of that time, of that particular risk, of that particular client, or whatever the requirement is of the beneficiary. Very quickly, Atoll Trust in the UK, the beneficiary of the Civil Aviation Authority. The acquirer trust, the beneficiary is the merchant acquirer. Insurance arrangements trusts, the beneficiary of the insurance company. So essentially, we like to work towards the diktat of a master, if I can call it. Makes for a very easy relationship because the client can't tell us what to do. The client understands what rules we operate to, and they work within those rules. We also work in other areas. We support gambling risk. So we work very closely with one particular European gambling regulator, where we manage the risk for the gambling regulator in respect of a number of the licenses they have granted. We don't actually hold any funds ourselves. The gambling regulator wants the data that we hold to understand what the risk is for that gambling merchant. And that risk is updated every single day. We also look after music festivals, which interestingly came out of COVID. As you can imagine, we had festivals, in fact, sporting events as well, that got cancelled. The funds had been received and were being held. And because they were in a trust account, our clients could reassure their clients, by the way, your money's safe. It hasn't been touched, hasn't been spent. When the music festival ends, we will check it, we will test it, and we'll release the money. We also provide these services to organizations that provide gift cards and vouchers. We tend generally to work with gift cards and vouchers companies that provide white label solutions for individual retailers. Same position again. We hold granular data which tells them what the exposure is on gift cards and vouchers. We've got white goods and furniture there, as you can well imagine. That also relates to goods being delivered well after the funds have been received. So we're quite versatile. We will develop with the client and with the beneficiary, if there is a beneficiary, the rules that are required to protect funds. We've been doing this for a long time, so we understand the need to work in a cooperative manner with the merchant or the client or the tour operator, so they don't feel like we are in any way making their life difficult or inconvenient. It's a set of rules. We work to those rules. We give as much support as we can to the party whose funds we are holding, and naturally their regulator or their beneficiary can also access those reports and that data to monitor what their risk is. Charities, as you can see, is at the bottom. You can imagine it's exactly the same situation. Effectively, we have a fiduciary obligation to carry out a role in a particular manner, and we have built a reputation of being trusted and value being placed upon what we say. We work very hard at this. Kesa, if you could then take us to the next slide, please. Benefits to stakeholders. The stakeholders are the business whose funds we are holding. The stakeholders are the beneficiary. The stakeholders are also the consumers as well. In essence, it could be anyone. James mentioned, I believe, the property sector. That also will have stakeholders. The stakeholders will be the contractors, the stakeholders will be the subcontractors. So these things are defined very early on, right at the beginning, and then everybody knows where they stand. We're able to provide real-time data. We can either be sent the data, or we can pull it by developing an API link for that merchant or client or travel company or whatever you want to call them. We have a system of dashboards, which obviously we have standard dashboards, and then we will develop dashboards that are specific to each organization. Cyber security is a very important consideration for us. We work very hard at it, but as you will all understand and know, that it is a dark science, it's a dark art, if I can call it, and all you can do is to rely on the best knowledge and the best experience that is out there, and you keep introducing good practice and good ideas into the system. I would like to think we have a good track record because all the parties that work with us, the stakeholders that engage with us, I think they eventually find out that we are very helpful to them. We're very supportive, but clearly, professionally, we must do a proper job and an accurate job. We've got some quite nice recommendations on our website as to how we are viewed, how we are considered, and banks love working with us. We have a very significant presence with 2 major banks in the UK. Hopefully, we're developing a third one. And James has actually got us 3 banks that we work with in the Czech Republic. So we have more banks in the Czech Republic with fewer clients than we have in the UK. But again, the banks get very comfortable with us when they start seeing how they work, what we do. And essentially, whilst we are trustees, if you think about it, we don't really acquire the power to control those funds. There's always a stakeholder involved in the disposition of the funds. So the Czech Republic, very specifically, PTT on its own signature cannot release any of the funds in the trust account. They have to be released jointly with the merchant, with the client or the tour operator, and with the insurance company. There are 3 parties involved before those funds go anywhere. And quite honestly, I like that idea. I don't want to control the money because that allows me to come on a call like this and say, guess what? We don't control your funds. In the UK, we do have arrangements where PTT can control the funds for certain travel companies, which don't involve flights. But in that situation, the travel company fails. Once they've failed, somebody has to step in and take charge of the funds. Again, bespoke arrangement, very carefully monitored, and we will actually work with a firm of independent accountants, even in that situation, which stops us from taking the funds again. Guess if you would go to the final slide, please. The benefit with the client is very straightforward. We need for them to acquire confidence in PTT. As I said, there's a great deal of reluctance in setting up trust accounts. We're very conscious of it. We're very aware of it. We know we have to build bridges. We have to get their confidence. And if I can put it in an English way, we don't want them to become resentful of us. Nothing destroys a relationship than a forced marriage. The other party is constantly looking for ways to divorce you. So you've got to be very good in that arrangement. So the other party goes, oh, okay, maybe it's not so bad. When it comes to, because we're able to track funds at a granular level, we're able to support our clients when it comes to making refunds, when they have cancellations. And as I said, during COVID, for a good year, all we did was refund money. If you can think about it, majority of our clients were travel or retail clients. And the flow of funds into trust accounts just stopped. But what we were able to do was when they had to make a refund, we were able to support the refund. We were able to provide them with the data and say, by the way, do you know, here's 1 million euros you need to refund. Here's £1 million you need to refund. Do you want to refund it? Are your clients asking for the money? Because the data we hold is very clean. I'm an accountant by training. I'd like to reconcile things. I like for us to have great clarity in what we are doing. Lastly, I would say that we are automating more and more and more. So the team that is managing, we're a team of nearly 35 people. The object is to make the team very experienced, very knowledgeable, and they operate the system as opposed to working within the system in terms of manual labor and manual effort and manual work. And I just want to add here, there is a bit of manual work involved. In situations where we are required to audit transactions, we do have access to client systems where we will examine third-party invoices. If a client comes to us and says, can you please release the money for the following bookings? Because, again, I'll go back to travel, all these people have returned. We won't accept that on being told that. We will actually go into the client system, pick a sample of transactions, and carry out an audit. You can imagine the level of trust our clients have with us that they do not feel uncomfortable in giving us this access. and we are able to see everything on their system. But that access is view only. So I hope in this brief presentation, and I promise you I could talk for hours about this subject. It's all I've done for nearly 25 years of my life. But I'm hoping in this brief presentation I can show you that we have a very sophisticated, but yet a very simple, workable proposition, one that wins the confidence of whoever comes and engages with us. And I would be very happy to answer any questions. And I do visit Prague from time to time, and if you want me to meet anybody, any of you, I'd be very happy to meet you and engage with you. Thank you very much.